I am the man in the marriage, and you should not earn more than me. Quit!
You need to quit that job. My son says so.
Sobs angrily.
This is the story of Elena and how she watched the man she loved change into a monster. The Cartier watch gleamed against Elena's skin as she gripped the steering wheel of her Mercedes C-Class, her knuckles white with a mixture of excitement and dread. The email had arrived 3 hours ago, but she'd read it 17 times since then, each word seared into her memory. Congratulations on your promotion to Regional Sales Manager. New compensation package details attached. She pulled into the driveway of their modest 4-bedroom house in Westchester, the engine's purr dying into silence that felt too heavy. Through the window, she could see Brandon in the living room, his frame rigid on the couch, eyes fixed on the television. He'd been home since 3, another slow day at his sales job, he'd said when he texted. The numbers from the email flashed through her mind again. $200,000 annually plus bonuses, nearly double what Brandon made. She'd never earned more than him before, not even close. This is good news, she told herself, gathering her Hermès work bag, a gift from her brother Julian for her 30th birthday. We've been praying for this. He'll be happy for me. He has to be. But her hands trembled as she unlocked the front door. Brandon, baby, she kept her voice light, almost musical. I have amazing news. He turned slowly, his expression unreadable. He'd been handsome when they married 5 years ago. Sharp jawline, eyes that crinkled when he smiled, shoulders broad enough to make her feel safe. Now, those same features seemed carved from stone. What is it? His voice was flat. Elena set her bag on the marble console table, another purchase from better days when they dreamed together. I got the promotion, Regional Sales Manager. Can you believe it? After only 3 years with the company. The silence stretched between them like a chasm opening in the earth. How much? Brandon asked finally. Her heart stuttered. What? How much are they paying you? $200,000 base plus bonuses. He stood abruptly, the motion violent enough to make her step back. So you're making more than me now. Is that what you came home to celebrate? That you've finally beaten your husband? Beaten you? Brandon, what are you talking about? This is good for us, for our family. For our family, he laughed, but there was no humor in it. Tell me something, Elena. When were you planning to get pregnant? Or does your new position come with a clause that says wives who out-earn their husbands don't need to produce children? The words hit her like a slap. They'd been trying for 2 years, countless doctor's visits, tests that showed nothing wrong with either of them. It was their shared wound, not a weapon to be wielded. That's not fair. What's not fair is my wife acting like a man. His voice rose, filling the room. What's not fair is you going to that office every day, wearing your expensive clothes, carrying your designer bags, while I sit here being humiliated. I'm not trying to humiliate you. Then turn it down. He closed the distance between them, his face inches from hers. She could smell the beer on his breath, the 3rd or 4th bottle, judging by the empties on the coffee table. Call them tomorrow and say no. Tell them you need to focus on your home, on being a wife. I worked for this, Brandon. I've worked so hard. And what about me? Do you think I haven't worked hard? Do you think I don't deserve success? Of course you do, but my success doesn't take anything away from yours. He turned away from her, and for a moment she thought the storm had passed. Then he picked up his phone from the couch, his fingers moving rapidly across the screen. What are you doing? Calling my mother. She needs to know what her daughter-in-law is doing to destroy her son's marriage. Elena's stomach dropped. Brandon, please. But he was already talking, his voice taking on a wounded quality she'd never heard before. Mom? Yes, I'm fine. No, I'm calling about Elena. She got a promotion today. Yes, you heard correctly. She'll be earning more than me now. I know, Mom, I know. Can you talk to her, please? She won't listen to me. He held out the phone, his eyes challenging her to refuse. With shaking hands, Elena took it. "Elena?" Her mother-in-law's voice was sharp as broken glass. "What is this I'm hearing? You took a promotion that will make you earn more than my son?" "Patricia, I just what? Just decided to embarrass him, to make him look small in front of his colleagues, his friends, everyone who knows you? What will people say when they find out the wife is bringing home more money than the husband?" "But Patricia, this is a blessing." "A blessing. A wife who earns more than her husband is a curse. It's an abomination. No wonder you haven't gotten pregnant. God is punishing your prideful spirit." Tears burned Elena's eyes, but she blinked them back furiously. "That's not fair, Patricia. I've done everything right. I cook, I clean, I take care of everything except know your place." The line went dead. Elena stared at the phone in her hand, the silence roaring in her ears. "Now, do you see?" Brandon's voice came from behind her, softer now, but somehow more menacing. "Even my mother knows what you're doing is wrong. You're destroying this marriage, Elena. You're destroying us." She turned to face him, searching his face for any trace of the man she'd fallen in love with, the man who'd held her hand on Sunday services, who'd whispered dreams of a future where they'd build an empire together. He said together. He promised. "I'm starting the new position in 2 weeks. I'm taking it." The rage that flashed across his face made her blood run cold. But before he could speak, before he could strike her with more words designed to put, her phone buzzed in her bag. She pulled it out with trembling hands. A text from Julian, her younger brother. "Did you tell him? Call me. Doesn't matter what time. I'm here." Elena looked up at her husband, at the stranger wearing his face, and knew with terrible certainty that this was only the beginning. "I'm going to bed," she said, her voice steadier than she felt. "We can talk more in the morning. There's nothing more to talk about, unless you're telling me you're turning it down." She walked past him without answering, each step up the stairs feeling like a mile. Behind her, she heard the crack of another beer bottle opening. In their bedroom, their sanctuary that now felt like foreign territory, Elena sat on the edge of their bed and finally let the tears come. Through the blur, she pulled up Julian's number. He answered on the first ring. "Elena, tell me he was happy for you. Please tell me." "He wants me to turn it down," she whispered. "He called his mother. She said I'm cursed. She said—" "Stop." Julian's voice was firm, grounding. "Listen to me. Are you listening?" "Yes. You are brilliant. You are talented. You earned this promotion because you're exceptional at what you do. Don't you dare let anyone, not Brandon, not his mother, not anyone, make you dim your light." "But Julian, what if they're right? What if I'm being selfish? What if you trust that you were given this gift for a reason?" His voice gentled. "Elena, I know this is hard, but I've watched you work yourself to exhaustion for that company. I've watched you come home and still cook elaborate meals, still keep that house spotless, still show up for everyone else. When do you get to show up for yourself?" He heard footsteps on the stairs, heavy, deliberate. "I'm going to go," she whispered. "Call me tomorrow. I mean it, Elena, tomorrow." The door opened just as she ended the call. Brandon stood in the doorway, backlit by the hallway light, his silhouette imposing. "Who were you talking to?" "Julian." "Of course." He moved into the room and she caught the scent of beer again, stronger now. "Your brother, who's never been married, who has no idea what it takes to maintain a home, is giving you advice on how to be a wife?" "He's just being supportive." "Supportive?" Brandon's laugh was bitter. "Is that what we're calling it? Or is he the one who's been putting these ideas in your head, these modern feminist ideas that a woman should compete with her husband?" "I'm not competing with you." "Then why won't you turn it down?" He was shouting now, his face contorted with rage. "Why can't you just do this one thing? Choose me over your career. Choose our marriage." "Why can't you be happy for me?" The question burst from her lips before she could stop it. But she already knew the answer. She could see it in his eyes, in the set of his jaw, in the way his hands clenched at his sides. This wasn't about money or tradition or even his wounded pride. This was about power, and she'd just claimed some for herself. The morning sun streamed through the bedroom window, but Elena had been awake for hours, listening to Brandon's snores, planning her escape route from the bed without waking him. She'd learned this skill over the past 2 weeks, how to become invisible in her own home. Her new position would start tomorrow. Tomorrow, she would walk into that corner office on the 42nd floor, her name on a placard that read, Elena Mitchell, Regional Sales Manager. Tomorrow, everything would change. If she made it there. Her work clothes hung in the closet, organized by color and occasion, a habit from her mother, one of the few traditions she'd kept. The DVF wrap dress she'd planned to wear for her first day was pressed and ready, her nude Christian Louboutin pumps polished to perfection. She'd spent Saturday at the salon, getting her hair styled into a sleek bob that made her look professional, powerful. She'd felt beautiful then. Now, creeping around her own bedroom like a thief, she just felt tired. The shower's hot water was a brief respite, steam filling the bathroom until the mirror fogged over. She stood under the spray longer than necessary, delaying the inevitable moment when she'd have to face him. When she emerged, wrapped in her robe, Brandon was sitting on the bed, her phone in his hand. Who was Tyler? Her heart stopped. What? Tyler, you have 17 messages from someone named Tyler. He held up her phone, his face unreadable. Want to tell me who that is? He's my new deputy manager, she said carefully, reaching for the phone. We've been coordinating on transition plans. Brandon pulled it away. He. So your deputy is a man. Brandon, this is ridiculous. Give me my phone. Looking forward to working with you, Elena, he read aloud, his voice dripping with false sweetness. Your ideas for the quarterly targets are brilliant. We're going to make an amazing team. An amazing team. He looked up at her, and she saw something dangerous in his eyes. Sounds very close. It's professional correspondence. You know this. Do I? He stood, still holding her phone hostage. Because what I know is my wife is about to start a job where she'll be working late nights with some man named Tyler, earning more money than her husband, wearing her tight dresses and high heels. They're not tight. And I'm supposed to just smile and accept it, except that everyone will know my wife is the one wearing the pants in this marriage? Elena snatched her phone from his hand, anger finally overriding fear. You know what? Maybe I should be the one wearing the pants, since you're acting like you've lost yours. The slap came so fast she didn't see it coming. Her head snapped to the side, the sting across her cheek sharp and shocking. She stared at him, her hand instinctively rising to her face, unable to process what had just happened. Elena! He reached for her, horror flooding his features. Elena, I'm sorry. I didn't mean. I've never. Don't touch me. She held up her other hand, stopping him. I'm sorry. You made me so angry, and Get out. This is my house. Get out. He left, his footsteps thundering down the stairs. She heard the front door slam, his car engine roar to life, tires screeching as he peeled out of the driveway. Only then did she allow herself to collapse onto the bed, her whole body shaking. Her phone buzzed, Julian calling. She couldn't answer. If she heard his voice right now, if she had to explain what had just happened, she would shatter completely. Instead, she texted, Can't talk now. I'm okay, I promise. His response was immediate. That's not an answer. Call me when you can. I love you. She stared at those last 3 words until they blurred. Then she got dressed for work, covering the red mark on her cheek with foundation, putting on her armor of confidence, one piece at a time. The office hummed with Monday morning energy, keyboards clicking, phones ringing, the scent of coffee from the break room mingling with expensive perfumes. Elena walked through it all, feeling like she was underwater. Sounds muffled, movements slow. Elena! Tyler appeared at her cubicle, her last day in this space before the move upstairs. He was younger than her by a few years, with an easy smile and wire-rimmed glasses that gave him an intellectual air. Ready for the big day tomorrow? Ready as I'll ever be. I wanted to give you this before you become my boss and too important to talk to me. He handed her a small wrapped package, grinning. Don't worry, it's not inappropriate, just a little welcome gift. Inside was a leather-bound notebook, her initials embossed in gold on the cover. Tyler, this is too much. It's not. You're going to do amazing things in that role, and I wanted you to have something to write them down in. Consider it an investment in our future quarterly reports. He winked, then his expression sobered. Are you okay? You seem important. I'm fine, she lied. Just overwhelmed, you know? He nodded, but he could see he didn't quite believe her. Well, if you need anything, and I mean anything, I'm here. We're a team now. After he left, she touched her cheek through the makeup, the tenderness still there, a physical reminder of how far things had deteriorated. Her phone rang, Brandon's mother. She almost didn't answer, but ignoring her would only make things worse. Hello, Patricia. Elena, dear, how are you? The sweetness in her voice was worse than yesterday's anger. I'm well, Patricia. Good, good. Listen, I've been talking to Brandon. He's very upset about this situation, very upset. And you know, as your mother-in-law, it's my duty to help guide you. Here it comes, Elena thought. I think you should take a step back from this new position, just for now, until things settle at home. There are other opportunities, positions that won't cause so much tension. Patricia, I start tomorrow, so call them today. Tell them there's been a family emergency. These companies, they understand these things. Family comes first. Isn't that what we've always taught you? What about my career, Patricia? What about what I've worked for? My dear, a career is temporary. A marriage is forever. Would you rather have a title on a door or a husband who loves and respects you? I should have both, Elena said quietly. The silence on the other end was deafening. You're being very stubborn, Elena, very prideful, and pride, as you know, comes before a fall. Patricia's voice had lost all pretense of sweetness. I'm going to give you some advice, whether you want it or not. In my day, when a wife started earning more than her husband, she knew to give the money to manage. She knew to let him make the decisions, to preserve his dignity as the head of the home. But Patricia, this is a different time. A different time, is that what you think? Let me tell you something. A man's ego is the same in every time. You wound it, you lose him. It's that simple. And then what will you have? Your corner office and your big salary and no husband to come home to. Elena closed her eyes, fighting back tears. I should get back to work, Patricia. Think about what I said. I'm coming by this evening with Brandon's sister. We need to have a family discussion. The call ended before Elena could protest. She sat staring at her computer screen, not seeing the emails that had piled up. Her mark on her cheek throbbed in time with her heartbeat. Her phone buzzed. Julian again. Elena, you're scaring me. Where are you? She typed back. I'm at work. His mother is coming over tonight with his sister. I don't want to do this. Don't be alone with them. I'm coming. Elena, you don't have to. I'm already on my way. I'll be there by 6. They sat in her living room like a tribunal. Patricia in the armchair that had been her father's, Brandon's older sister Vanessa on the couch beside Brandon, and Julian next to Elena, his presence the only thing keeping her grounded. I don't see why your brother needs to be here, Patricia said, her lips pursed with disapproval. This is a family matter. I am her family, Julian said mildly, her only family in New York right now. We are also her family, Vanessa interjected. She was a softer version of her mother, less sharp-edged but no less convinced of her rightness. That's why we're here, because we care about Elena and want to help her see reason. See reason about exactly what? Julian asked. About this job that's destroying her marriage, Brandon said. He hadn't looked at Elena directly since she'd arrived home to find them all waiting. About how she's making me look like less than a man. How is her success making you less? Julian's voice remained calm, but he could hear the edge underneath. Explain that to me. You wouldn't understand. You're not married. No, but I understand basic mathematics. Her earning more money means your household has more money, unless you're arguing that your ego is worth more than your family's financial security. Elena, she touched his arm, a warning. No, let him speak, Patricia said. Let him show his disrespect so we can all see what kind of family raised him to talk to his elders this way. I'm not being disrespectful. I'm asking questions that need to be asked. Elena has worked incredibly hard for this opportunity. She's brilliant at what she does. Why should she sacrifice that because her husband is insecure? Insecure? Brandon was on his feet now. I'm not insecure. I'm trying to preserve my marriage from a wife who thinks her career is more important than her family. When have I ever said that? Elena's voice broke through the argument. When have I ever put anything before this marriage? I cook every day. I clean. I make sure your clothes are ready. Your meals are prepared. I've done everything right, and it's still not enough. You know what's enough? Vanessa leaned forward, her voice saccharine with false sympathy. Being humble, knowing your place. My husband earns more than me, and I've never had a problem with that because I know the natural order. The man is the head of the home. And what if the natural order includes me using my talents? Elena asked. What if my purpose isn't just to make my husband feel superior? Now you're being blasphemous, Patricia declared. Elena, I tried to be gentle with you, but I see now you need hard truth. If you take this promotion, you will destroy your marriage. Brandon will resent you, his family will resent you, and when you're old and alone with your career, don't come crying to us about how you wish you'd chosen differently. Or, Julian said, standing, she could keep the job she earned, and her husband could support her like a real partner, like someone who actually loves her. Get out, Brandon pointed at the door. This is my house, and I won't have you disrespecting my family in it. It's our house, Elena said quietly. Both our names are on the deed. The silence that followed was glacial. So that's it? Brandon's voice was hollow. You're choosing him over me? Your brother over your husband? I'm choosing myself, Elena said. I'm choosing the life I've worked for. And if you loved me, if you really loved me, you'd understand that. Patricia stood, gathering her purse with theatrical indignation. Vanessa, we're leaving. There's no point talking to someone who's been poisoned against her own family. She fixed Elena with a cold stare. When this all falls apart, don't expect us to be here to pick up the pieces. They left in a storm of righteousness, the door slamming behind them. Brandon stood in the middle of the living room, looking lost and furious all at once. This isn't over, he said. I know, Elena replied. He went upstairs. A few minutes later, she heard the guest room door close. Julian pulled her into a hug, and finally she let herself cry. You did the right thing, he whispered. Then why does it feel like I'm losing everything? He pulled back, looking her in the eyes. Because sometimes the right thing costs us. But Elena, listen to me. You are not losing anything that truly mattered. If he can't celebrate your success, if his love is conditional on you making yourself smaller, then it wasn't real love to begin with. She wanted to believe him. She wanted to believe that tomorrow, when she walked into that office, it would all be worth it. But as she lay in bed that night, alone, she couldn't shake the feeling that she was standing on the edge of a cliff and someone was about to push her off. Hey Queens, stories like this take a lot of time to come together. I'd appreciate it if you could hit that subscribe button to show you support my work. Also, kindly hit the like button so the algorithm shows this video to more people. I'd be grateful. The corner office was everything Elena had dreamed of, and nothing she'd imagined it would feel like. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Manhattan, a mahogany desk that gleamed under recessed lighting, her own executive assistant, a crisp young woman named Sophia, who'd brought her a cappuccino within minutes of her arrival. She should have been elated. Instead, she felt numb. The morning had started with a silent house. Brandon had left before dawn without a word. She'd found her DVF wrap dress on the floor of their closet, covered in bleach stains that looked deliberately splashed across the deep purple fabric. The dress she'd bought specifically for this day, ruined. She'd stood there for a full minute, the destroyed dress in her hands, trying to process the calculated cruelty of it. Not an accident, not carelessness. This was a message. So she'd worn her backup, a sharp black pantsuit that made her look severe but professional, and Christian Louboutin pumps that clicked authoritatively with each step. Armor. "Miss Mitchell," Tyler knocked on her open door, grinning. "How does it feel?" "Surreal," she admitted, gesturing for him to answer. "Is it always this quiet on the 42nd floor?" "Wait until you attend your first executive meeting this afternoon. You'll miss the quiet." He handed her a folder. "I compiled the quarterly reports from all the regional teams. Your predecessor left some interesting notes about accounts we need to watch." They spent the next hour reviewing the accounts, and for brief moments, Elena felt like herself again, competent, sharp, in control. This was what she'd worked for. This was where she belonged. Then her phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. "You look very nice in your office. Too bad your husband isn't here to see it." She felt the blood drain from her face. "Elena?" Tyler's voice came from far away. "What's wrong?" "Nothing. She looked at the text again. Who had this number? Who was watching her? Another text. "Does he know you're sitting in an office with another man? What would he think?" Her hands shook as she blocked the number. "Elena, talk to me." Tyler's face was creased with concern. "What's happening?" "It's nothing, just spam." But even as she said it, she knew. This wasn't spam. This was the campaign she'd sensed coming, the war she'd tried to pretend wouldn't happen. The rest of the day passed in a blur of meetings and introductions. She smiled until her face hurt, shook hands until her arm ached, recited her vision for the department until the words felt meaningless, all while her phone stayed ominously silent. By 6 o'clock, most of the office had cleared out. Elena sat at her desk, staring at the city lights beginning to twinkle in the dusk, dreading the drive home. A knock at her door made her jump. "Still here?" It was Robert, the VP of sales, a man in his 50s with kind eyes and a reputation for mentoring younger employees. "First day jitters keeping you late?" "Something like that." He entered without being invited, taking the seat across from her desk. "I'm going to tell you something, and I need you to really hear me. You earned this position, not because of quotas or diversity initiatives or any of the other things people will whisper. You earned it because you're exceptional at what you do. Don't let anyone make you doubt that." Tears pricked her eyes. "Thank you. But I also need to warn you, being a woman in leadership is going to be harder than you expect. People will scrutinize your every decision, question your competence, attribute your success to everything except your own merit. You'll have to be twice as good to be seen as half as competent." He leaned forward. "Can you handle that?" "I have to," she said simply. He nodded, seeming satisfied. "Good. And if you ever need someone in your corner, my door is open, literally and figuratively." After he left, Elena gathered her things and headed to the parking garage. Her Mercedes waited in her newly assigned spot, another perk of the promotion. She was unlocking it when she noticed something was wrong. All 4 tires were flat. She walked around the car slowly, disbelieving. Not just flat, slashed. The cuts were clean, deliberate. Her phone rang. Brandon. Hello? Where are you? His voice was tight. I'm in the parking garage. Someone slashed my tires. What? Are you okay? Did you call security? The concern in his voice was so genuine, so reminiscent of the man she'd married, that she almost believed it. I'm fine. I'm calling them now. I'll come get you. Don't move. Brandon, you don't have to. I'm your husband. Of course I have to. He hung up before she could respond. Security arrived first. 2 guards who examined the tires, took her statement, promised to check the cameras. Then Brandon appeared, dressed in the designer jeans and polo shirt she'd bought him for Christmas, his face etched with worry. Elena. He pulled her into a hug and she let him, too tired to resist. Who would do this? I don't know. But she did know. She knew with absolute certainty, even if she couldn't prove it, even if saying it out loud would sound paranoid. In the car, his car, a Toyota Camry that suddenly felt like a cage, he was solicitous, asking about her day, congratulating her on the office, apologizing for not being there this morning. I was angry, he said as they pulled into traffic. I handled things badly. I'm sorry. You ruined my dress. He glanced at her, then back at the road. I don't know what you're talking about. The DVF dress, the one I was going to wear today, it was covered in bleach. Maybe something spilled in the closet. It didn't spill, Brandon. Someone poured it, deliberately. Are you accusing me of sabotaging your clothes? His voice rose. Is that what you think of me now? That I'm so petty, so small that I destroy your things? I don't know what to think anymore. They drove the rest of the way in silence. At home, he ordered takeout from her favorite restaurant, a Thai place in the East Village that cost more than they usually spent on dinner. He opened a bottle of wine, lit candles, and she wanted so badly to believe this was real, that they could find their way back to each other. I'm proud of you, he said over pad thai and spring rolls. I know I haven't shown it, but I am. You worked hard for this. Thank you. I was thinking maybe we could use some of your new salary to take a trip, just the 2 of us, the Hamptons maybe, or Martha's Vineyard, get away from everything, remember why we fell in love. It sounded perfect. It sounded like a trap. I could take that into consideration, she said carefully. Or you could trust me. His eyes were hard, despite the soft candlelight. Trust that I'm trying here, Elena. Trust that I want this marriage to work. I do trust you. Then prove it. Take some time off, a week, maybe 2. Show your new bosses that your marriage comes first. And there was the real agenda beneath the romance. I just started, Brandon. I can't take time off now. Can't or won't. It's the same thing. He set down his fork with deliberate precision. You know what your problem is? You think you can have it all. The career, the marriage, the respect. But you can't, Elena. At some point, you have to choose. Why do I have to choose? Why can't I have both? Because I'm telling you that you can't. He slammed his hands on the table, making the plates jump. Quit the job. Take something smaller. Let me be the man in this relationship. I won't. The words hung between them, final as a door slamming shut. Then we have no more discussion. He walked away, leaving her alone with the takeout and candles, the romantic evening revealed for the manipulation it was. She was cleaning up when her phone buzzed. Julian. How was day 1? She called him instead of texting, needing to hear a friendly voice. That good, huh? He said when she didn't immediately speak. Someone slashed my tires. Brandon tried to wine and dine me into quitting. His strategy is transparent, but it doesn't make it any less effective. Elena, maybe you should... Don't say I should quit. Please don't. I was going to say maybe you should come stay with me for a while, until things cool down. I can't leave my own home because my husband is throwing a tantrum. It's not a tantrum anymore, Elena. This is escalating. The bleached dress, the tires, the anonymous texts. How did you know about the text? Because I know how this goes. I've seen it before with colleagues, friends. They start small, testing boundaries, seeing what they can get away with. Then it gets worse. He's not going to hurt me. He already has. She touched her cheek, the bruise long faded, but the memory still fresh. That was an accident. Was the bleach an accident? Were the tires an accident? I don't know that he's behind those things. Who else would be? She didn't have an answer for that. Just promise me you'll be careful, Julian said, and if you need me, I'm 20 minutes away, anytime, day or night. After they hung up, Elena sat in the kitchen of her beautiful house, in the marriage she thought would last forever, and wondered how love could turn so toxic so fast. So I would really love to know what part of the world you are watching this video from. Kindly leave your reply in the comments section. Let's connect. 3 months passed like a slow-motion car crash. Elena watched her marriage disintegrate one calculated cruelty at a time. Brandon accidentally deleted her alarm on mornings she had important presentations. He scheduled loud phone calls during her video conferences when she worked from home. He invited friends over on nights she needed to prepare reports, filling the house with noise and expectations that she play hostess. But the worst part was how he'd perfected the art of public humiliation. At the company's annual gala, a black tie affair at the plaza, he'd shown up an hour late, already drunk, and loudly announced to her colleagues that his boss wife was too busy to iron his shirt properly. When Robert tried to intervene, Brandon had laughed it off as a joke, but the damage was done. Elena had spent the rest of the evening watching pitying looks follow her across the ballroom. Her numbers, however, told a different story. In 3 months, she'd increased regional sales by 18%, landed 2 major accounts, and streamlined operations in ways that saved the company millions. The executive team noticed, which was why, on a humid Friday afternoon, Robert called her into his office with a smile that made her both excited and terrified. VP of National Sales, he said without preamble. That's the position. It's yours if you want it. $300,000 base salary plus performance bonuses that could push you past $500,000 annually. Company car upgrade to whatever you want, Range Rover, BMW, your choice. And you'd be reporting directly to the CEO. Elena sat frozen, unable to process the enormity of what he was offering. This is unprecedented, Robert continued. We've never promoted someone this fast, but you've earned it, Elena. The board was unanimous. When would I start? 2 weeks. We'll make the announcement Monday. He leaned back in his chair, studying her. You don't look as happy as I expected. I am happy. I'm just thinking about how to tell my husband. Robert's expression shifted, something knowing and sad crossing his features. The gala. I should have said something sooner, but is everything okay at home? It's complicated. It always is. He stood, moving to the window. My first wife left me when I made partner at my old firm, said she didn't sign up to be married to someone who was never home, who prioritized work over family. And maybe she was right. I was obsessed with success, with proving I belonged in rooms where people like me weren't supposed to be. What happened? I learned that you can't dim your light for people who prefer you in the dark. It took me years to understand that, and it cost me. But I found someone eventually who celebrated my wins instead of resenting them. He turned back to her. Whatever you decide about this promotion, make sure it's what you want, not what will keep peace, not what will make him happy, what you want. She thought about that conversation all weekend while Brandon gave her the silent treatment, punishing her for some new, unnamed offense. She thought about it Sunday night when his sister, Vanessa, called again, suggesting she take a break from work to focus on getting pregnant. She thought about it Monday morning when she found her favorite Prada bag, a gift from her mother before she died, soaked in the bathtub. And she thought about it Monday afternoon when she walked into Robert's office and said yes. The announcement went out Tuesday morning. By noon, her phone was exploding. Julian. Vice President? Elena, oh my God, I'm so proud of you. Her father, calling from Boston, your mother would have been so proud. Don't let anyone make you feel small for being great. Tyler, now her regional manager. Does this mean I have to call you Madam VP? And Brandon, We need to talk. Tonight. No excuses. She knew what was coming, had known since Robert first said the words, but knowing didn't make her any less afraid. He was waiting when she got home at 7, sitting in the dark living room like a villain in a movie. "Vice President," he said when she turned on the lights. "National sales. $300,000. I heard all about it. Everyone's been calling me all day to congratulate me on my wife's success." Brandon, do you know what that's like? Having your friends, your colleagues, your own family call to tell you how amazing your wife is, how proud you must be, when all I feel is humiliated. "I'm sorry you feel that way." "You're sorry I feel that way?" He laughed, and it was the most bitter sound he'd ever heard. Not sorry for doing it, sorry I feel bad about it. "What do you want me to say? That I'll turn it down? I won't. I've worked too hard." "You've worked too hard?" He was on his feet now, closing the distance between them. "What about the work I've put into this marriage? What about the sacrifices I've made?" "What sacrifices, Brandon? Tell me, because from where I'm standing, I'm the only one sacrificing anything." "You want to know what I've sacrificed? My dignity, my reputation, my standing in my own community. Do you know what people say about me? That I'm weak, that I can't control my wife, that she's the man in the relationship." "I never asked you to control me." "You didn't have to ask. It's what husbands do. We lead, we provide, we protect. But how can I do any of that when you're out there making more money than me, making decisions without consulting me, living your life like I don't exist?" "I consult you on everything that matters." "Then why didn't I consult me on this promotion? Why did I have to hear about it from strangers?" She stared at him, exhausted beyond words. "Because I knew you'd tell me not to take it. Because I knew we'd have this exact conversation. Because I'm tired, Brandon. I'm so tired of having to choose between my career and your ego." The slap was harder this time, knocking her into the wall. She tasted blood where her tooth cut her lip. "Don't you dare," he started, but stopped when he saw her face. Not scared, not crying, just done. "I want a divorce," she said quietly. "What?" "You heard me. I want a divorce. I'll move out this weekend. You can have the house, the car, whatever you want. I just want out." "You can't divorce me. I'm the one—" He stopped, breathing hard. "You don't mean that. You're just upset." "I've never meant anything more in my life." She walked past him, up the stairs to their bedroom, soon to be just his bedroom, and began packing. He followed, pleading now, the anger shifting to panic. "Elena, please, I'm sorry. I lost control. It won't happen again." "You're right. It won't, because I won't be here." "Where will you go? To your brother's? You think he can take care of you better than I can?" "I think I can take care of myself." She was throwing clothes into her Louis Vuitton bag, another relic from happier times, when he grabbed her arm. "If you leave, you're making a mistake. You need me, Elena. Who's going to want you? A woman in her 30s, barren, more concerned with her career than building a family? Do you think you'll find someone better?" She yanked her arm free. "I'd rather be alone than with someone who hits me." "I didn't mean—" "Get out of my way." Something in her voice must have convinced him she was serious, so he stepped back. She finished packing in silence, taking only her clothes, her toiletries, her laptop. Everything else, the furniture they'd picked out together, the dishes from their wedding registry, the framed photos of happier days, she left behind. At the door, suitcase in hand, she turned back. He was standing at the foot of the stairs, looking lost and small, and nothing like the man she'd married. "I loved you. I really did. But you made me choose between loving myself and loving you, and I finally figured out that those two things should never be mutually exclusive." She left him standing there and drove to Julian's apartment in Brooklyn, where her brother opened the door, took one look at her split lip and packed bags, and pulled her into a hug that finally broke her. "You're safe now," he whispered. "You did it. you're free. But freedom, she was learning, came with its own cost. The divorce papers arrived 3 weeks later, hand-delivered by a process server to her new VP office. Elena stared at them, hands shaking, unable to believe Brandon had actually done it. But it wasn't just a divorce petition. It was a declaration of war. Petition for divorce on grounds of abandonment and neglect of marital duties. He was claiming she'd abandoned the marriage, that she'd neglected her responsibilities as a wife, that her obsession with her career had destroyed their home. He's rewriting history, Julian said that evening, reading through the documents at his dining table while Elena paced, making himself the victim. His lawyer is good, she admitted. They're making it sound like I chose work over family, like I'm some sort of monster. You need a better lawyer, someone who can show what really happened. And what really happened, Julian? That my husband was threatened by my success? That he couldn't handle not being the primary breadwinner? The court won't care about that. Judges see these cases all the time. Then we make them care. Julian's voice was fierce. We document everything. The bleached dress, the slashed tires, the harassment. We get statements from your colleagues about the gala incident. And when he denies it all, when his family testifies that I was a neglectful wife, then we let your success speak for itself. Elena, look at what you've accomplished in 6 months. You've transformed the entire sales division. You're being featured in business magazines. Forbes wants to interview you about women in leadership. You're not just succeeding, you're soaring. It was true. The VP role had unleashed something in Elena, a drive and confidence she hadn't known she possessed. She'd restructured the entire national sales strategy, implemented new training programs, and her division was projected to increase revenue by 35% by year's end. The Wall Street Journal had called her the rising star of corporate America. Fortune magazine wanted her for their Women Who Inspire issue. She'd been invited to speak at conferences, to mentor young women entering the workforce, to share her story. Everyone wanted to know her secret. No one wanted to hear about the cost. The court date was set for 8 weeks away. In that time, Brandon's campaign intensified in ways he hadn't anticipated. He gave an interview to a popular relationship blog, painting himself as a husband abandoned by an ambitious wife. He carefully omitted the violence, the sabotage, the cruelty. Instead, he was the wounded party, the man who'd supported his wife's dreams, only to be cast aside when she no longer needed him. The comment section was brutal. These modern women don't know how to be wives anymore. She probably cheated on him with her boss. That's how they get these promotions. No wonder they couldn't have children. Karma for putting career first. Elena read every comment, each one a small cut that added up to a deep wound. She knew she shouldn't look, but she couldn't stop herself. Then came the letter from Patricia's lawyer, demanding she return all family property, including gifts given during the marriage, wedding items, and somehow, mysteriously, claiming she owed them money for marriage expenses. They're trying to bury you, her lawyer, a sharp woman named Grace, said during their prep meeting, financially, emotionally, socially. But here's what they don't understand. You have something they can't take away. What's that? The truth and the receipts. Grace smiled. I've subpoenaed the security footage from your office building showing the tire slashing. I've got statements from 3 colleagues about the gala incident. I've documented the pattern of harassment, the escalating abuse. And I've got your performance reviews showing that your work never suffered. If anything, you excelled despite what was happening at home. Will it be enough? It'll have to be. The night before the hearing, Elena couldn't sleep. She kept replaying the marriage in her mind, trying to pinpoint when things had gone wrong. Had there been signs she'd missed? Had she been too focused on work to notice her husband slowly transforming into someone she didn't recognize? Her phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. "Tomorrow, everyone will see what you really are." She blocked it and turned off her phone. The courtroom was smaller than she'd expected, less dramatic, but the moment she walked in and saw Brandon sitting with his mother, his sister, and a row of family friends, all staring at her with undisguised hostility, her stomach clenched. Julian sat behind her, his hand on her shoulder. "Head up, you got this," he whispered. The proceedings were brutal. Brandon's lawyer painted her as a cold, calculating career woman who'd used marriage as a stepping stone and discarded her husband when he was no longer useful. They brought in Vanessa to testify about Elena's unwifely behavior, Patricia to weep about how she'd tried to guide her daughter-in-law but been rejected. When it was Grace's turn, she was surgical. She played the security footage showing someone who looked remarkably like Brandon entering the parking garage 30 minutes before Elena's tires were slashed. She had Robert testify about the gala incident, his words careful but damning. She introduced text messages from Brandon, threatening, controlling, abusive. And then she had Elena take the stand. "Ms. Mitchell, can you tell the court why you took the first promotion?" "Because I earned it, because I was good at my job, because I wanted to build a career that would make me proud." "And when your husband asked you to turn it down, why didn't you?" "Because I'd worked too hard, because I deserved it, because," her voice cracked, "because I thought he would eventually be happy for me." "Was he ever happy for you?" "No." The judge, a woman in her 60s with sharp eyes, leaned forward. "Ms. Mitchell, the petitioner claims you abandoned your marital duties. Can you respond to that?" "I cooked every meal. I cleaned our home. I tried to conceive despite 2 years of fertility struggles. I did everything expected of a traditional wife, while also excelling at my career. If that's abandonment, then I don't understand what the word means." "And the second promotion, the one that led to your departure?" "He hit me, Your Honor. When I told him about it, he hit me. And I realized that no amount of dimming my light would ever be enough for a man who preferred me in the dark." The courtroom was silent. Brandon's lawyer tried to recover, suggesting she'd provoked him, that she was exaggerating, that there was no proof of violence, but Elena had photographed the bruise on her cheek, had medical records from a clinic visit she'd made the next day. The judge called a recess. 2 hours later, she returned with her verdict. Divorce granted on grounds of irreconcilable differences and domestic abuse. The petitioner's claims of abandonment are dismissed. Assets to be divided equitably with consideration given to Elena's separate property and earnings. This court finds no evidence that the respondent failed in her duties as a wife, but substantial evidence that the petitioner engaged in patterns of controlling and abusive behavior. Elena felt Julian's hand grip hers as relief and grief warred in her chest. Outside the courthouse, reporters were waiting. Word had spread about the corporate VP divorce case. One shoved a microphone in her face. "Ms. Mitchell, do you have any regrets about choosing your career over your marriage?" She stopped, looked directly into the camera, and said, "I didn't choose my career over my marriage. I chose myself over abuse, and I'd make that choice again every single day." The clip went viral. 6 months later. Elena stood at the podium of the National Women in Business Conference, looking out at 500 faces, young women, older women, women who'd fought their own battles and carried their own scars. "They'll tell you that you can't have it all," she said, "that ambition is unfeminine, that success makes you unmarriageable, that a good woman knows her place." She paused. "I'm here to tell you that's a lie." The applause was deafening. After her speech, a young woman approached her, mid-20s, nervous, holding a copy of the business magazine with Elena's face on the cover. "My fiancé says if I take the job offer in San Francisco, we're done," she said quietly. "He says long distance won't work, that I should stay here, find something local. It's the opportunity of a lifetime, but I don't want to lose him." Elena took her hands. "I can't tell you what to do, but I can tell you this. Anyone who loves you will want to see you fly. And if they don't, if they need you smaller to feel bigger, then they don't love you. They love the idea of you that fits into their narrative." The woman's eyes filled with tears. "But what if I end up alone?" "Then you end up alone with your dreams instead of with someone else's limitations, and maybe that's not such a bad trade." Later, in her new apartment, a stunning 2-bedroom in Tribeca with a view of the Hudson, Elena kicked off her Jimmy Choo heels and poured herself a glass of wine. Her phone buzzed with congratulations from colleagues, friends, and Julian. Her brother. "You were magnificent today. Mom would be so proud." She smiled, thinking about her mother, about all the women who'd fought to create space for her success, about the price they'd paid and the paths they'd cleared. Her career was flourishing. She was being courted by Fortune 500 companies, offered positions that would have seemed impossible just a year ago. Forbes had listed her as one of America's top 40 under 40. She was free, successful, and on her own terms. And yes, sometimes she was lonely. Sometimes she wondered if she'd ever trust someone enough to try again. Sometimes she missed the idea of partnership, of sharing her wins with someone who celebrated them. But when she looked at herself in the mirror, really looked, she saw someone she recognized, someone she liked, someone who'd chosen herself and survived. The doorbell rang. Julian, holding takeout and wine. "Thought you might want company after the speech," he said, grinning. They ate on her balcony, overlooking the city lights, talking about everything and nothing. Her brother, who'd stood by her when everyone else told her to make herself smaller, who'd reminded her that she was allowed to shine. "Any regrets?" he asked as the night deepened. She thought about it, really thought about everything she'd lost and everything she'd gained, about the woman she'd been and the woman she'd become. "Only one," she said finally. "I regret not doing it sooner." And for the first time in years, Elena felt at peace. The city stretched out before her, full of possibility and promise. Tomorrow, she'd negotiate another major deal. Next week, she'd mentor 3 more young women navigating their own corporate battles. Next month, she'd speak at another conference, share another story, light another path. But tonight, she was enough. Just her, her dreams, and the hard-won knowledge that she deserved every good thing she'd worked for. The promotion hadn't broken everything. It had broken the wrong things, the toxic patterns, the limiting beliefs, the relationship that required her diminishment. And in the breaking, it had set her free.